Welcome. I bid you welcome. John Clauser, Johnny Metal, the Metal Dad, coming to you from my music corner of the world. Today, October 8th, 2024. Today, I thought I'd do something a little bit impromptu. Um, Today is a very special day in my life as far as history goes, if you want to call it. So, this shirt here that I'm wearing, as you can see up here, this shirt I've had since October 1st, 1992. That was the first time I saw Kiss. So if you have heard me talk about Kiss before, you will know that I have, Kiss was my first real band that I got into as a kid. Um, but I never got to see them in concert as a teenager, and especially as a young child. And when I was a fan of their heyday, that was like the biggest time and to be a fan was in that mid to late 70s. And I was a huge fan, but I never got to see them in concert. So but then, as I got older, um I would kind of drift and I got uninterested in other bands. I'm not gonna lie. I transitioned to like AC/DC and Ozzy and Sabbath and Priest and Iron Maiden and eventually Metallica and Slayer and Wasp, of course, and all those different things. So Kiss kind of, while they were my heroes of my childhood, as I got into my teenage years, well, they kind of got lost in the shuffle, I guess you could say. So I never got to see them in concert. I did get to see Ace Frehley back in 1987. He and Frehley's Comet were opening for um, Cinderella. So, and they came to Salisbury, Maryland, where I was living at the time, and I at least got to see Ace. So that was pretty cool. Had like eighth row seats for the show, and got to see the smoking guitar, that was the highlight for me. It was that was what I always wanted to see. But going, but so it wouldn't be until late September 1992, and in my back then I was previously married. Um, my ex and I were actually on our honeymoon. We were up in the Poconos and up in Pennsylvania, and I just happened to be listening to the radio, and I heard something about Kiss was playing at Stabler Arena in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Of course, I'd been to a show at Stabler Arena once before. Saw Ted Nugent and Aerosmith there. So I wasn't terribly familiar with Stabler. Like I said, only was there the one time. Um, but this is like, hey, this is where I grew up. And so I say, hey, we should let's get tickets. Let's go see because I've never had the chance to see him. And they were touring Revenge, which honestly, I loved Revenge. Compared to Hot in the Shade and Crazy Nights that had come out prior to that. Bleh. I didn't care really for either of those two albums. So we got tickets. I was going to go ahead and get them at will call, and there you go. That was that. So October 1st comes. That happened to be the day we were going to be checking out of the place we were staying at up at the Poconos. So day starts off with a real bang. We check out of the place, and we wanted to go to this. There was a comic book store at the time. I don't know if it's still there now. I don't even remember the name of the place, but we wanted to go back there, and there was something we wanted to look for. And when I got off the interstate, I made a wrong turn. I meant to go left, and I meant to go right, and I went left, or something like that. So there was this little um, convenience store, and it just drove right into like an open space parking lot. And I was just going to make a quick U-turn and turn back around. Well, I do that. And of course, when I turned in, I thought the coast was clear. Yeah, it wasn't. And I pulled right out in front of somebody and smashed up my car, totaled the car. And then I was like, well, how the heck are we gonna, well, we gotta rent a car now to get back to my brother's house so we could then go to the concert. So that was not a way to start a marriage, first of all, but it was just it was an unfortunate thing that happened. I don't know what happened. I just didn't see the person coming. I guess when I made the U-turn, I thought for sure I was in the clear. Anyway, we eventually get to the concert. So I got to my brother's house, we unload, and we explained what had happened, and he's familiar, he hears of everything that happened. So we we rested a little bit, and then we got on the road to go to Stabler Arena. And so the show was um it was Trickster and Faster Pussycat opening up. Um Trickster sounded like nobody was behind the soundboard for him. I couldn't make anything out of what they were singing. All the instruments, everything just sounded really muddy. Nothing sounded real crisp. Faster Pussycat, that was the third time I'd suffered through them in concert. And every time I've watched them, I just never got them. And I still don't really get them. Although I think I have a little bit more appreciation for them now. But I didn't, it was just another feedback driven, just, not a fault of the band. So I have to give the props to the band. They were not a bad band. I just three times of seeing them live, and I just never liked any time I ever saw them. Um, and so Kiss gets on the stage. So this little videotape here, which I would find at a record show a couple of years later, it's called "The First Taste of Revenge," and yeah, it's a boot, but it's not bad, and it's not horrible, but they play a really impressive 2 hour set here. Um, they start the show off with "Creatures of the Night." Paul was sounding maybe a little bit rough through it, but it was still a strong song. They still opened strong. Goes right into Deuce, which Gene was takes over and just is like, yeah, there we go. That's what we're talking about. Um, they do I Just Wanna. And at first, it sounded like Paul was in a different key when he starts singing a little bit. It took him a little while to get back in key with the rest of the band, I think, but he eventually got there. They do Unholy, which was good. Was missing some of the higher vocal parts of Gene in this one. He sticks to more of a low to mid range, but still good. Parasite, Strutter, um, Heaven's on Fire, follows it up. Christine 16 was next, which led into Domino, which was two songs back to back that I'm like, yeah, don't think I need to hear either of those two again, given the subject matter. I guess it's a good thing they didn't play Going Blind after that. But but then they go into Watching You, which I thought was really good. Hotter Than Hell, which then led into Firehouse. You get Gene with the fire breathing part, so you still get that part of the show. Again, they don't have the makeup, so no spitting or anything like that. Um, I Want You, which I was really happy to hear because that was always one of my favorite songs from Rock and Roll Over. Then they go into Forever, which was a very special song for my ex and I at the time. Um, and we were kind of thankful that they didn't play the ballad from Revenge, which was Every Time I Look at You. But we were happy to get to see Forever played live. That meant something to both of us. Um, which then led into War Machine, which is a pivotal part of the set to me because, the stage starts off with you see like a Statue of Liberty backdrop, and during War Machine, the flash pots go off and everything, and the Statue of Liberty kind of crashes down, and you see this like Terminator skull, and instead of The torch, the hands give the skeleton hands giving like the middle finger kind of thing. So, but that was still pretty cool to watch. Then you go in 100,000 years. Uh, at this point in the show, I found was kind of interesting because they go into rock and roll all night. Usually that's like an encore song for them, but they do this like earlier in the set, which was really strange. Um, Lick It Up, which of course that leads into a whole crowd chant thing. Take It Off, where they bring some of the Lehigh Valley's finest, I think, to help in that part of the song. Cold Gin, Tears Are Falling. My memory serves me correctly, and not a bad version of it. I think they did that one quite well that night. I Love It Loud, which again brings the crowd to its feet. Detroit Rock City. Again, we're not to the end of the set yet. So that was interesting. And then Shout It Out Loud. Um, and then God Gave Rock and Roll to You. Now, Love Gun and the Star Spangled Banner. Now, I do realize there is something missing from this set. I know they played Black Diamond. So because I'm looking at the back here and I can definitely tell it's Black Diamond is missing. I know they played Black Diamond. So I maybe that came before maybe that came before Detroit Rock City. I have to remember exactly how they did all that in a sec. But anyway, neither here nor there. So that was that night. We try to get back to my brother's house. I get a little disoriented. We got a little lost getting home, but we got to my brother's house. Honestly, I was almost ready for, if something happened to me that night and I didn't make it back to my brother's house and I died, I would have been okay because I finally got to see my childhood heroes. But that's not the end of the story. Um, 1996, 1995 into 96 rolls around. By this point, Kiss does Unplugged, and they bring Peter and Ace back for a couple of songs. And then that just starts off a whole wide, crazy wave of stuff. And yes, they decide they're going to come back. The original band is reforming and they're going to do a tour. I got to see this. At this point here, I'm like, let's see, 1996. So I would have been about 25, 26 years old or so at the time. So I remember having to get on the phone. Yes, folks, you had to get on the phone back in the days of Ticketmaster to try to get a show, tickets to a show. And I wanted to go to Philadelphia. And I thought Philly would be easy to get to and back. It was probably the closest one for that part of that leg of the tour. So we and I managed to get us tickets. We wound up going with another couple friends of ours that we had known, and we got up to Philly to get into the show. Now, here was the problem with where our seats were. So, say my stuff behind me is the stage. Okay, actually, maybe that's not a great example. Um, let's just say from the stage, we were literally like the second to last row, center stage in all the way of the back of the arena at the very tippy top. We were a long ways away and we were pretty high up. I didn't realize how bad our seats were. Well, our friends, the wife she was feeling a little nauseous all the way up there. So we went to guest services and we said, "Hey, we have a problem. Our seats are this and this and this. Is there anywhere lower that we could swap out for? Is there anything we could do? Because medically, this person wasn't going to stay up there." And so they actually were very nice enough to get us into a box seat, like a box club. And so we got to see the seats, or we got to see the show from the box club. Now, here's the good thing of the show. Maybe not, I should say the good thing. We missed the opening act during all of this. And it's probably a good thing. The band was the Bogmen. Now, I'd never heard of this band before. And it was a very strange pairing to be opening for Kiss because this was like, I don't know, that mid 90s alternative kind of sounding band that um needless to say, Philadelphia was not very kind to this group. They were basically just booing them off the stage and trying to get them off stage as quickly as possible. So, um, yeah, it was a very bad time for that band. I felt very bad for them. I've gone back and kind of listened to some of their stuff, and they're not a bad band. It just didn't they weren't going to be a good band to open for Kiss, of course. So they finally get off the stage after being booed off pretty much. Um, and Kiss finally gets to take the stage. And they go through. Now, this is according to Setlist FM. So I'm going to go through the set here again. This time they open up with Deuce, which to me that was always the Kiss opener for me. Um, Creatures of the Night is a good song, but to me Deuce was always the one that I thought was the best opener for me. Um, they go into King of the Nighttime World, which I always thought was weird because it's kind of like Live and Love and Made with Led Zeppelin. It's like you anytime you hear Heartbreaker, you got to go right into Live and Love and Made. Well, with King of the Nighttime World, you always play like, that's the song before Detroit Rock City. So it just seemed really strange to hear King of the Nighttime World out of context in some way, at least for me. It's like, anyway, they stick with Destroyer and then go into Do You Love Me, which I thought was a very, again, another great version of the song. They go into Calling Dr. Love, which then led into Cold Gin, which Ace got to sing a verse of, which I thought was great. Watching You, which is a favorite of mine from especially Alive One. I love that version of that song. Um, I thought that was again very killer version. They go into watching or to Firehouse, which again you get the fire spitting, which was always cool to see. Um, from there, I Stole Your Love, awesome song again. Love that. Always loved that song from Love Gun. They stick with Love Gun to go into Shock Me. We all know what's coming. The guitar solo. Ace's solo with all the theatrics and the smoking guitar and everything else. And of course, this was the one where he shoots the thing down with a laser and all this kind of crazy stuff. Crazy, crazy, crazy to watch. They go into Let Me Go Rock and Roll, which then goes into Shout It Out Loud. They go back to the first album with Strutter. Here they go into the ominous bass solo with, of course, Gene doing his famous blood spitting. And getting to see this for the very first time was, I would love to have been closer to the stage, but getting to see it from the box seats where I could see it from a screen still, but still the stage, but you could see a nicer, closer view of this from the screens. That was very awesome, and then Gene just standing right there, all, you know, I am the demon, and everybody's just chanting Gene, 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 Gene. Great, 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 great moment. Leads right into God of Thunder, where he gets propelled up to the top of the ceiling, and he's playing from up the top. Then leads into the drum solo that Peter always did. From here, they go to New York Groove, which I was happy to hear this. It was cool to see Kiss doing this together with Ace. I enjoyed hearing Ace doing that song again. Love Gun follows that. 100,000 Years. Black Diamond ends the set. They come back for the encore. Here's Detroit Rock City. Peter comes out, sings Beth, and then they end with Rock and Roll All Night. Now, um, you probably have seen me wear this shirt on occasion, but this is my shirt from that show. They played three dates in Philly that time. October 8th, 9th, and 11th. We were there on the 8th, the opening night. And so I of course I had to get this shirt. This is one tour shirt I could never part with. Um, we would see the tour again on the second leg, this time up in Baltimore. They did not do a special shirt like that for Baltimore. I did get a shirt that night. I think it was like a Destroyer cover. Unfortunately, I don't have that one any longer, um, but the memories I have of that one are also very special because we did take another couple friends of ours, and it was, it was a great time. It was funny. It was on April 1st, 1997. So, um, yeah, April 1st would obviously become a a day that would always live in my heart because that's the day my dad passed away. But I have my dad to thank for allowing me to, I begged him to buy Dress to Kill when I was in first grade, because I thought the album cover was like the coolest thing ever, and he consented and bought for me. So I really have him to thank for my love for Kiss that I had as a child and early teenage years. And and I never saw Kiss again after that. That was the last time I would ever see Kiss in concert. Um, I have my reasons. I don't need to go into them. I saw the band. I saw my childhood heroes twice. Granted, it was on the reunion tour. It wasn't in the heyday, but I got to see them twice. Um, what more could a body want? For me. That's how I felt. Um, and I just didn't want to tarnish that. I have the memories I have of those days are very, very special, and they'll always live in my heart. So yeah, 28 years ago today, I got to see the original lineup of Kiss. So that's my little day of history, as as you can say. So anyway, tune in tomorrow to see John the Music Nut and myself, um, as we and Butch Balak talking about the Accept album Metal Heart. And that, of course, that's at 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central every Wednesday night. I'm gonna try and keep pushing these out for y'all, and I hope y'all enjoy them. Please continue to like, share, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you thought about Kiss during this time period. Did you see this reunion tour? Did you see the Revenge tour? What'd you think? What kind of Kiss memories do you have here? So there you go, folks. As I said, John Clouds, Johnny Metal, the Metal Dad. We'll see you soon. Take care, everybody.